building up to 7.7 million pounds.
All engines running. Launch. Do we have a liftoff?
We have a launch commit and we have a liftoff. The swing on, moving back. The Saturn V lifting off the power.
My name's Charlie Duke. I was fortunate to have been an Apollo astronaut. We had 9 missions to the moon. I was fortunate to work on 5 of those missions.
A massive dark shape, bigger than a car, moves with impossible speed across the lunar dust. It's over in a second. This is what Apollo 16 astronaut Charles Duke says he witnessed during one of his moonwalks. For 50 years, this story remained in the shadows, dismissed even by the man who saw it. He was one of only 12 humans to ever set foot on another world, a place we were told was barren and lifeless. But it's hard to believe that's the whole story, especially when forgotten mission footage might just prove he wasn't alone out there. 50 years of silence. For over 5 decades, the public has believed that the Apollo 16 mission to the moon was one of humanity's great, yet straightforward scientific achievements. We've seen the images of astronauts John Young and Charles Duke bouncing on the lunar surface, driving the lunar roving vehicle, and collecting rocks. It seemed like a textbook mission. But not all things are what they seem. The truth is, something happened in that gray, silent world that was so jarring, so inexplicable, that the story is only just beginning to surface. The man at the center of it all is Charles Duke, who, at 36 years old, was the 10th and youngest person to walk on the moon. He was a man of science, a former test pilot, the voice of mission control who guided Neil Armstrong down to the surface. He was not a man given to flights of fancy. You see, the thing nobody tells you is that during one of his moonwalks in the rugged Descartes Highlands, a place higher than any other Apollo landing site, Duke saw something that defied all logic. As he and Young went about their duties, collecting some of the 213 pounds of moon rocks they'd bring back to Earth, an event unfolded in the blink of an eye. A large, dark shape suddenly passed by their lunar rover. It was moving incredibly fast, a fleeting shadow against the bright, dusty landscape. In an environment where the only movement should have been the astronauts themselves, this was impossible. Duke himself initially dismissed it. In the harsh glare of the unfiltered sun, your eyes can play tricks on you. He likely wrote it off as a speck of dust on his visor or a momentary illusion caused by exhaustion. After all, he'd just landed a spaceship on another world after a harrowing 6-hour delay that almost canceled the landing entirely. But the image wouldn't let him go. It was burned into his memory. For years, even decades after his return to Earth, that fleeting moment bothered him. What was it? Was it real? It's hard to believe, but the reality is that he decided to dig deeper. According to emerging reports, Duke, driven by a nagging curiosity that spanned half a century, finally went back to the mission archives. He pored over hours of old footage, the grainy 16mm films shot from the rover's mounted camera. And then, he found it. There, on the tape, was exactly what he remembered. A camera had indeed captured a large, dark shape moving swiftly past the rover. This was no illusion. It was real, and it was recorded. The most startling detail? Its sheer size. The lunar roving vehicle was about 10 feet long and 7 feet wide, roughly the size of an early SUV. The object in the footage appeared to be as large, or perhaps even larger, than the rover itself. It wasn't just a rock or a piece of debris. Duke described it as something enormous, something moving with agility and precision across the lunar dust. This single piece of evidence, if verified, changes the entire story of Apollo. The moon was supposed to be a dead world, a place of silent, beautiful desolation. Yet this footage suggests something else was there with them, something big, fast, and unknown. What else could be hiding in those old NASA archives? Not a textbook mission. To understand the weight of Charles Duke's supposed revelation, you have to understand that Apollo 16 was a mission of constant surprise and near disaster. It was anything but routine. From the very beginning, it felt like the mission was cursed. Just before launch, Command Module pilot Ken Mattingly, who who had already been bumped from the ill-fated Apollo 13, had a health scare that almost grounded him again. Then, after a perfect launch and a 3-day journey to the moon, the real trouble started. As Young and Duke separated the lunar module Orion to prepare for landing, Mattingly reported a serious problem with the main engine on the command module Casper. He radioed down to Houston with the chilling words, "I be a sorry bird." The engine's backup control system was shaking violently. Without a working main engine, there was no guarantee the astronauts could get home from lunar orbit. For 6 agonizing hours, the mission hung in the balance. Young and Duke floated in their lander, just 60,000 feet above the moon, watching their landing window and their dreams disappear. Down in mission control, engineers scrambled. The pressure was immense. The lives of 3 men were on the line. Finally, they gave the go-ahead, deciding the problem wasn't serious enough to scrap the landing. But it was a terrifyingly close call. The entire multi-billion-dollar mission nearly failed because of a tiny, vibrating part. Everybody was shocked when they heard the news, but the mission continued. The surprises didn't stop there. The entire reason they landed in the Descartes Highlands was to find volcanic rocks. Scientists on Earth were convinced this mountainous region was formed by ancient lunar volcanoes, and they had trained the astronauts for months in volcanic fields. But when Young and Duke got there, they found something completely different. The ground wasn't made of lava flows. Instead, it was covered in breccias, a type of rock made from fragments of other rocks welded together by the intense heat and pressure of meteor impacts. The geologists were wrong. The entire scientific basis for the landing site was a mistake. The moon was already rewriting its own history right before their eyes. In a place of supposed certainty, the astronauts found only mystery. It makes you wonder, if the scientists could be so wrong about the very ground they were walking on, what else did they fail to predict? The mission was plagued by other odd mishaps. During the first moonwalk, Commander John Young accidentally snagged a cable on the multi-million-dollar heat flow experiment, tearing it from the device and ruining it. It was a simple, clumsy mistake that destroyed one of the mission's key scientific objectives. These events paint a picture of a mission that was constantly dancing on the edge of the unknown. It wasn't the clean, perfect story we were sold. It was messy, dangerous, and full of unexpected turns. If NASA's own scientists were wrong and equipment was failing, what else don't we know? Duke's public statements. Here is where the story takes a sharp, confusing turn. Just as you're wrapping your head around the idea of a massive, unidentified object flying across the moon, another piece of evidence comes to light that challenges everything. It comes from Charles Duke himself, but it's the complete opposite of the bombshell revelation. For decades in public appearances and interviews, Duke has been asked the one question every astronaut gets: did you see any UFOs out there? His answer has been consistent, unwavering, and clear. No. In fact, he has gone even further. At an event for Star Talk Radio, he was quoted as saying that no one in the Apollo program ever saw anything of the sort. More than that, he stated he is of the opinion that there aren't any extraterrestrial life forms out there at all. This is a direct, undeniable contradiction to the story of him discovering a mysterious object in the mission footage. It's not a vague statement. It's a firm denial from the very man at the center of the claim. So, what is going on here? How can 2 completely opposite stories both be true? This is the paradox of Charles Duke. On one hand, we have the explosive account of a 50-year-old secret. On the other, we have the public record of a decorated astronaut and military man consistently towing the official line. There are a few ways to look at this. One possibility is that the story of him finding the object on the film is simply not true, a fabrication created for a YouTube video. It's the simplest explanation. But then you have to ask, why Charles Duke? Why Apollo 16? The details of the sighting are incredibly specific, right down to the size of the object relative to the rover. Another, more dramatic possibility is that Duke has been forced to maintain a public denial. Think about it. If NASA discovered something like that, something that proves we aren't alone, would they ever make it public? The implications would be world-shattering. It's plausible that any astronaut who saw something would be under a strict, lifelong gag order. Charles Duke's life after NASA is also interesting. He became a devout Christian and a successful businessman. He is a man of strong convictions. Would a man like that live a lie for 50 years? Or would he follow orders to protect a national or even global secret? The contradiction is the heart of the mystery. We have the man's public words versus a story that refuses to die. It forces us to question what is real. Is the real story the one told under the bright lights of a stage, or the one whispered about from forgotten archives? Did he see something and was forced to deny it, or is the whole story a hoax? Fact, fiction, or cover-up? So here we are, left with a puzzle. At the end of the day, when you strip away all the drama and speculation, you're left wondering what really happened out there in the lunar highlands. This isn't just some story about aliens or monsters on the moon. It's a story about truth and memory, and how official narratives are built. Let's just talk, you and me. You click on a video with a title like this because some part of you wants to believe that there are still mysteries out there, that not everything has been discovered and explained away. And maybe you're right. Let's look at the facts we have. Fact: the Apollo 16 mission was fraught with technical problems and scientific surprises. The astronauts and the experts on the ground were learning as they went. Fact: Charles Duke is on public record denying any and all UFO sightings. He has been firm on this for decades. Fact: a story persists with very specific details that he saw something incredible and later found it on film. The thing is, both of these facts can't be true at the same time. Or can they? Could it be that what Duke saw wasn't an alien ship, but something else? A piece of his own spacecraft breaking off? A shadow from the command module in orbit 100 miles above? Unlikely, given the reported speed and size, but not impossible. Or maybe the most intriguing possibility is the one that sits in the middle. Maybe Duke did see something he couldn't explain. And maybe he did look for it on the tapes and found it. And maybe, when he reported it, he was told in no uncertain terms that it never happened. That for the good of the country, for the stability of the world, this was one secret that had to be kept. In that scenario, his public denials wouldn't be a lie, but an act of duty. The reality is, without seeing that alleged footage for ourselves, we can't know for sure. It remains locked away, if it exists at all. But this story taps into a deep-seated feeling that we haven't been told the whole truth about our journeys into space. We are missing key details. We look at the moon in the night sky, and it seems so close, so familiar. But maybe it's holding more secrets than we can ever imagine. The story of Charles Duke and the shadow he may or may not have seen reminds us that the final frontier isn't just outer space, it's also the line between what we are told and what might actually be true. What do you think? Was Duke a witness to something extraordinary, or is this just another space-age myth? Let us know in the comments below. If you want more stories that challenge the official narrative, make sure to like this video and subscribe. What other secrets are hiding in the Apollo archives?